Well, I'm excited too, cause you're gonna get out of my house.
You're gonna miss me though.
We all thought Steve was a devoted dad who cherished his family. But what if we told you that there's more to the story than meets the eye? You might think you know everything about this guy, but trust me, this latest revelation is gonna knock your socks off. Word on the street is that Steve Harvey, the beloved TV host and family man, has been neglecting his own flesh and blood. Yes, you heard that right. Apparently, there's one child in particular who has been feeling the brunt of Steve's neglect, and that's his son from his second marriage, Wynton Harvey. That's right, folks. Wynton has been feeling the sting of his father's neglectful behavior more than anyone else. But what could Steve have possibly done to make his own son feel so uncared for and unimportant? So sit back, grab some popcorn, and get ready to dig deep into the sordid details of Steve Harvey's family drama.
So you went into the Tom Ford store and put it on my account to give me my gift?
Yeah.
What kind of damn gift is that?
It's been a long-standing rumor that Steve Harvey, the beloved comedian, actor, and TV host, has been neglecting his own children. While he presents himself as a family man, the word on the street suggests otherwise. So, what's the deal with Steve and his family drama? Let's dive deeper into the rabbit hole and find out. First things first, if Steve was truly devoted to his family, how come he's been married 3 times? Doesn't that raise a few eyebrows? The man seems to have a wandering eye, and it's got people talking. But let's focus on his children for now. Steve has 7 children, but only 4 of them are his biological offspring. His first wife, Marcia Harvey, bore him 3 children, the twins, Brandy and Carly, and his first son, Broderick Harvey Jr. But their marriage eventually crumbled after 14 years, and they went their separate ways in 1994. Then came Steve's second marriage to Mary Shackelford, with whom he had 1 child, Wynton. However, their relationship was turbulent from the start, and the couple went through a nasty divorce in 2005. Mary later accused Steve of cheating on her with his current wife, Marjorie Harvey, while they were still married. While Steve denied the allegation and called it baseless and false, Mary didn't hold back. Just hold on, because we'll be diving a little bit deeper into this case later on. Let's get back to Marjorie. She is Steve's current and third wife, and the two got married in 2007 after dating for several years. But Marjorie brought her own children into the marriage: Morgan, Jason, and Lori. Steve eventually adopted all 3 of them, and they became his children in every sense of the word. Steve and Marjorie now have 5 grandchildren, 3 of whom are from Jason's marriage to his wife Amanda. 1 is from Morgan's marriage to her husband Kareem, and 1 is from Carly's marriage to her husband Ben. Steve often shares photos and videos of his grandchildren on his social media accounts, showing the world just how much he adores them. But what about Steve's own children? Sources close to the family claim that he has been focused on his career and new family, neglecting his first 4 children, and especially his son Wynton. They allege that Steve has been emotionally distant and even physically maltreated Wynton, leaving the young man feeling hurt and confused. Rumors have swirled that Steve has been treating his stepchildren better than his own flesh and blood. Some fans believe that he's been showering his adopted children with love and attention, while his biological children are left feeling neglected and unloved. Now, let's dive back into the scandalous revelation about Steve's alleged physical hurting of his own son Wynton. But before we go any further, let's examine the root of the issue. Remember Steve Harvey's second wife, Mary? Well, their marriage was a wild ride, let me tell you. It all started when Mary didn't even know Steve was still married to his first wife, Marcia, while they were dating. She thought he was a single father of 3, but when she found out the truth, she immediately broke it off. However, Steve was persistent and eventually won her over. But things really took a turn when Mary convinced Steve to open up a comedy club, using all her life savings of $250,000 to fund it. And boy did it pay off, because Steve became a huge success thanks to Mary's idea and investment. Fast forward to 1997. They had a son named Wynton. But things started to unravel when Steve's infidelity caught up to him again. In 2005, they ended their relationship, and that's when all all the nasty stuff began. After the divorce, Steve treated Mary horribly, leaving her homeless and broke, despite her playing a huge role in his success. He only gave her a tiny amount of child support for Wynton because he didn't want to part with his hard-earned money. But that's not even the craziest part of the story. Steve had actually met his current wife, Marjorie, back in 1987, and he immediately fell in love with her. However, Marjorie wasn't interested because he was broke at the time. It wasn't until Steve became wealthy that they reconnected and got together. Meanwhile, Wynton was only 8 years old when his parents divorced. Although Steve had visitation with his son on the weekends, he didn't make much effort to form a bond with him or any of his biological children before that. In fact, his son Broderick Harvey Jr. revealed that he didn't have a relationship with his father until he was 16 years old.
I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16.
Steve seemed unbothered by the lack of a relationship with his children. He showered his stepchildren, born to Marjorie, with love and support, while his own children suffered. It wasn't just about the money, but also the emotional support and connection that Steve neglected to give his biological children. What's even more shocking is what Mary revealed about Wynton's experience. Not only did he suffer from emotional neglect, but he also endured physical hurt at the hands of his father. It's heartbreaking to think that a child would have to go through such pain, especially when they should be experiencing love and support from both parents. Mary revealed that Wynton would often come home from visitation with his dad and stepmom complaining about how Steve was putting his hands on him. But this wasn't just some light spanking for discipline. Oh no. Mary claimed that Steve went too far on multiple occasions. In fact, when Wynton was just 11 years old, Steve hit him so hard in the chest that he had trouble breathing. Can you believe that? A grown man hitting a child so hard that he couldn't breathe properly. But that's not even the worst of it, folks. Mary also alleged that Wynton came home to her from Steve's with injuries sustained from multiple beatings. According to Wynton, Steve hit him with a belt and a paddleboard, leaving him with bruises all over his behind, thighs, and legs. And get this, the poor kid even had trouble using the restroom for days after one of the incidents. Now tell me, does that sound like discipline to you? I didn't think so. Mary did the right thing and called the cops to report the situation, but to her shock, Steve faced 0 charges. The authorities dismissed Mary's lawsuit against Steve because they thought Wynton was just fine. And what was Steve's reason for hitting Wynton? Oh, just a phone call from the boys' school about him lying about his homework? Yeah, that seems like a totally reasonable excuse to hit a child. To add insult to injury, Steve filed for full custody of Wynton and won. That's right, the man who allegedly hurt his own son was awarded full custody by the courts. It's enough to make your blood boil, isn't it? It seems like some fans have already started to see through Steve Harvey's polished and charming facade. In fact, a fan had the guts to share their opinion on social media, writing, "I stopped liking Steve when Mary told everything he did to her." Another fan even accused him of being a bully and physically and emotionally abusing his family, saying, "I believe he is a bully and physically, emotionally abuses his women and kids because sometimes he shows anger during the Family Feud show." Now, we're not saying that Steve is a bad father nowadays, as he appears to be making an effort to be there for his kids and stepchildren. However, it's hard to ignore the disturbing allegations against him in the past. It's important to remember that discipline is one thing, but going to such extremes that causes lasting harm is another. It's hard to see how this kind of behavior towards a child could even be considered acceptable. So what do you make of all of this? Do you think Steve has truly changed his ways, or is he still capable of such abusive behavior behind closed doors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned for more explosive gossip on your favorite celebrities.